In the really want right next to it.
No, not necessarily.
The neighbor.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Are there any changes to the agenda? Did everybody get the agenda?
Yes.
All right. Are there any changes to the minutes from our January 31st meeting? Okay.
If not, is there a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve.
Okay, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. At this time, we'll take public participation. A reminder that you're limited to 3 minutes. You'll see a yellow light when you have 30 seconds left, and you'll see a red light when your time has expired.
My name is Jim Snyder. As you know, I have published articles on the ACBS Board of Education, leading publications including the Washington Post, Baltimore Sun, Education Week, Hechinger Report, and Capital. I've also compiled these and other related publications on my website at elighthouse.info, which most of you, and I thank you for your readership, have at one time or another consulted. I would like to make 3 points. First, I'd encourage you to use ranked choice voting when selecting among more than 2 school board candidates. This is the voting method preferred by political scientists and SBAC-type electoral bodies. One advantage of this type of voting method is that it encourages what political scientists call sincere voting, which is voting one's true preferences as opposed to voting strategically. Providing commissioners with a greater incentive to vote their true preferences is generally considered good for democracy. The leading argument against this voting method is that it puts a much greater and thus unrealistic burden on voters by asking them to acquire enough information to rank order their preferences. But that objection falls away for a small and well-informed voting body such as this. For more information, I'd recommend you go to fairvote.org. Second, I'm submitting for the public record my op-ed published in the Capital about your appointment process to the SBAC. The Capital's editor-in-chief agreed with me after review the SBAC had not publicly submitted documents substantiating its claim that its members received authoritative written appointment letters. Instead, he argued that your body is too unimportant for the Capital to investigate, as he claimed you are about to become obsolete because of the switch to an elected school board in Anne Arundel County. I don't buy that argument, so I continue to encourage you, consistent with your avowed commitment to transparency and due process, to post each commissioner's appointment authorization information on the SBAC's public website. Third, I'd encourage you to respond to my public comments rather than pretend I don't exist. You and your predecessors on the SBNC have claimed that public participation is an important democratic value for not only your own proceedings, but the school board candidates you interview. The fact that so few members of the public participate in these proceedings, as tonight, illustrates this commitment, to say the least, has been ineffective. To prove me wrong, please respond to my comments here and now to set the record straight, especially regarding your appointment letters. It is shameful that so far not a single one of you has dared to publicly respond to the important concerns I have raised about your appointment letters. Over the past decade, I have been a model citizen, attending school board meetings, selection commission meetings, and providing expert advice that has had a substantial impact on the law, media coverage, and practice of the SBAC. And yet you have given me the complete cold shoulder at these proceedings. The public is not an idiot. It reasonably deduces from such behavior that your commitment to meaningful public participation is primarily a PR gambit. So again, I'd encourage you to prove me wrong by responding to the legitimate and important issues I have raised about your appointment letters. Finally, you appear to have stopped posting to YouTube the videos of your public meetings. If that is more than a temporary omission, I'd encourage you to note on your public website this change in policy. I'd also encourage you to publicly acknowledge when only parts of public meetings have been posted online. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any comments?
No questions?
Go ahead.
They're not posted on YouTube, but they're on live stream. So if you click live stream, it goes to it. It's weird.
I understand, A, that it's on live stream, but you still have YouTube posted. There's no acknowledgement. And for the last meeting, the first part is not there with no explanation. It starts midstream. It does not start at the beginning of that meeting. And again, no notice.
That's correct. I noticed that as well.
Yeah, okay. That's the tip of the iceberg of a lot of problems with online access to the meeting. I didn't have time to deal with all of them.
you.
It would be nice to get a response on the appointment letter situation.
Thank you. Oh, you have another? Go ahead. Absolutely.
I can tell you that I've never received an appointment letter, and I think I told you that last time. I don't know if anyone else has, but I do not have a letter. I never received a letter. So
I can agree I've never received a letter. The reason that I'm a representative is because I'm the president of the Anne Arundel County PTA. I earned my position. I was voted into my position, so I have a standing right to be here, as my board has appointed me to represent them. So I think that gives me enough credibility to stand here and speak as the Anne Arundel County president and PTA representative. But for another reason, if you don't feel I'm qualified, it's definitely up to the people who voted me to the position to tell you otherwise.
What I requested is the specifics of the authorization procedure. If that's the procedure and your board has orally agreed to it, you should specify that it's an oral authorization as opposed to a written. The public should understand the exact method of the authorization.
I can give you the minutes of our board where my position
Yeah,
was
okay,
required, but
that
if you
would
would
do it.
like that, we can definitely provide you
I
with
think
that.
many don't have that, so that's impressive. Very good, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public participation? Okay, let's move on to voting. Before we start voting, I just want to go over one last time the procedure so we all are on the same page about this. Voting will begin with each commissioner checking the name of up to 3 candidates on this ballot. Does everybody have a ballot in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're checking the names of up to 3 candidates on that first ballot. Sign the ballot, number it, number 1 under round. There will be no specific order to the named candidates, no weight assigned to them in terms of points. Ballots will be collected and read aloud by staff. Each named candidate will be recorded with a single tally. We'll be asked to confirm our ballots. The 3 candidates plus any ties who receive the most tallies will advance to the next round. All others will be eliminated from consideration. Just to be clear, this first round is not we can't appoint anybody in this first round. It's just to narrow the field to a group of finalists. We have 2 staff members counting votes. Obviously, the staff will confer to double check the votes totals after the first round. The 3 candidates receiving the most tallies, again, plus any ties, will advance. Once that round is complete, voting in a round-by-round format will commence. Each commissioner will cast a written ballot naming a single candidate of that commissioner's preference. Ballots will be collected and read aloud by staff. Votes will be recorded. If a candidate receives the legally required 8 or more votes in any round, that candidate is appointed to the Board of Education. It's mathematically impossible for 2 candidates to receive 8 or more votes. If no candidate receives 8 votes in any given round, any candidate not receiving a single vote will be eliminated from consideration. If all candidates receive at least 1 vote, the field remains the same. The subsequent round of voting will then be conducted with the remaining candidates eligible to receive votes. This process will continue until a candidate receives at least the necessary 8 votes. After each round, I will ask if any commissioners wish to make comments. Once we begin voting, we will continue voting until we have an appointment. If we reach the point where we need to take a break, we will do so, but we will leave the dais one at a time if we do need a break. The candidate appointed tonight will be sworn in later this week by the clerk of the Circuit Court's office. And just a final reminder that all of your mics are on all the time. So if you need to make a comment, you can look and make sure the green light is on, but they're all on. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's start voting.
So you should have ballots for round 1 in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Everybody does.
Okay, Commissioner Jones has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan. That's correct.
That's correct.
Commissioner Carmona has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Ferrara has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Holler has voted for Ms. Kwan, Mr. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Alsop has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Vance has voted for Mr. Butcher,
And Mr. Kwan and Ms. Schwab.
Mr. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab.
Also Kwan and Schwab.
Right.
Miss?
Mr. Kwan,
Some
Yeah.
Kwan. Miss-
Mr. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab.
The last one was Butcher's, Mr. Kwan.
And Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Pickard has voted for Mr. Butcher, Mr. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab.
Come on, Liz.
Yes.
Commissioner Urea has voted for Mr. Butcher, Mr. Kwan, and Ms. Schwab. Commissioner Klassmeyer has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan. Commissioner Brandenburg has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan. Commissioner Cantwell has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan. And Commissioner Kipke has voted for Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan. So give us a second to tally this up. That's what I have. That's exactly what I have. So the first round tallies, Mr. Butcher has 11, Ms. Kwan 9, Mr. Kwan 9, Ms. Schwab 7. So the three who advance to your next round are Mr. Butcher, Ms. Kwan, and Mr. Kwan.
While we're getting our next ballots, does anybody have any comments on your voting for that round?
Pardon?
Oh, while we're getting our ballots, would anybody like to comment or explain their votes on the past round of voting? Okay. Thank you. Then we can proceed to round 2.
Yeah, she's gone.
Can't find the date.
So round 2, Commissioner Jones has voted for Ms. Kwan. Commissioner Carmona has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Ferrara has voted for Ms. Kwan. Commissioner Holler has voted for Ms. Kwan. Commissioner Alsop has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Vance has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Pickard has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Urea has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Klassmeyer has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Brandenburg has voted for Mr. Butcher. Commissioner Cantwell has voted for Mr. Butcher. And Chairman Kipke has voted for Mr. Butcher. 9-3, right? So Mr. Butcher has 9 votes, which is more than enough to be appointed to the Board of Education.
Okay. That was quick.
So he will be sworn in at 2 o'clock on Friday
2 o'clock on Friday, okay.
at the Circuit Courthouse.
And you have the appointment letter
I have
signed.
it,
We're all
yes.
set.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Is there any other business? Okay, motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Opposed? All right, thanks, everybody.
Block promotes curiosity, imaginative thought, and responsiveness. The primary focus is on the work of young children, play. The use of tools and materials allows students to share, take turns, and develop the confidence to make effective decisions in school and in life.